Hello everyone, it's Angie here, and I want to start by saying thank you for being here and wanting to learn how to feel better, supporting Valerie as she's learning how to find her joy in 2020, and just having an interest in being able to learn about your own mind, learn about the things that it does, and to be able to come away from that. So if you guys are ready, we're going to have our first coaching session together. What I'd like you to do is go grab a journal or a piece of paper. If you've already printed out the Tidy Mind, you can go grab that. If you haven't, you can go to my website at angiejohnsey.com. and you can get access to that and print that off. So you can pause this and just go do that and then hit start again, and we will do some work together. If you went to my website yesterday when I was in New York, my website might have not shown you the PDF that you needed, or you may not have been able to find what you need, and that's because I wasn't quite prepared for what was about to happen. I had no earthly idea. So it is being updated now, and I also have updated, if you did find it, if you did download the PDF, it has changed a little bit and been upgraded and looks a little bit better, looks a little more tidy, I hope, and explains it a little better. So you can print off that new version if you'd like to. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I want to explain today all about how to use this tool that Valerie will be using, called My Tidy Mind. So I have it open here so that I can look at it and go with it with you. And this is, My Tidy Mind is just an analogy of the mind as an actual living space or house that contains different rooms. So this is something that you will use when you feel in your emotional body a disturbance, meaning you're upset. I went through a lot of this. Valerie and I did a taping the day before we went live on the air Friday. And we had a session for about 2.5 hours. And you guys, it's TV and there's a certain amount of time for different segments. And you guys probably got about 60 seconds total of information from the whole 2.5 hours that we talked about this. So I want to give all of you the same opportunities that Valerie will have so that you can actually follow along with her, so that you can actually do this for yourself, because so many people, just as Hoda was saying, so many people resonated, this touched so many people's hearts to be able to see that this, we need to talk about this. This is a all too real, all too common problem that we're all going through. And we do our work. There's so many, thank goodness, there's so many teachings out there. There's so many workshops, there's so many therapists, there's so many people out there in this helping field trying to help people make some sense of this and how to heal that emotional pain. But sometimes it just seems complicated, or maybe the things that we've tried in the past, it's like, yeah, I might feel better for a little bit, but I have yet to find that lasting joy that I'm looking for. And that is my heart, is that you can all find it, and we find it through creating a balance. So before I get into all of that, we are going to talk about the Tidy Mind. Now, if you have your paper and your pen, or however you want to do this, I first want to you won't need that yet, but I want to talk to you about the rooms, okay? Now, just hang out with me, and you might want to even close your eyes for this, because sometimes it helps when you're learning something new, especially if you're a visual thinker, to close your eyes, to be able to see it in your mind. It's incorporating more than one sense. So you're not just hearing it, but now you're also hearing what I'm saying, and you're also seeing what I'm saying. So and when you see it, sometimes you can even feel it. So that's even 3 senses that are going to be involved. So the more senses that we can involve in this learning process, the more when you need this tool, you're going to remember. And that's the whole purpose of this. So ever how you learn, if you want to close your eyes while I'm talking about these rooms and visualize them, or if you want to write it down, sometimes writing things as we're hearing it helps cement it in our mind. Whatever you need to do that. Okay, here we go. Now, you have this house, and whether you're looking at it on the piece of paper or you're looking at it in your mind, in the center of the house, I want you to consider that the observation room or the observation space. Now, this is a space in the center of the house. It's kind of like home base. It's kind of like the safety zone. And if you are aware enough, as soon as you become aware that you are emotionally upset or emotionally disturbed in some way, or angry, or whatever your emotion is, as soon as you realize that and you become aware of it, you are in the observation room or the observation space in the center of the house. And from this space, you can stop and say, oh wow, I feel that in my body. I feel really upset right now. I feel really worried. I feel really stressed. My shoulders are around my ears. I feel really uptight. My breathing is really shallow. I'm really anxious. Whatever it is that you're feeling, now you're in awareness. Now you're in the observation room, and you can say, what is the voice in the mind talking to me about? What exactly is it saying? And I call this voice just because I like to have fun with things, and I don't like things to be all so serious and so complicated and overwhelming. I call this voice DJ Judge. The reason I call him DJ is because he's constantly spinning these recordings for you. He's spinning these records for you that stimulate different emotions within your emotional body, that bring up pains of the past, that bring up anxiety, that bring up worry, that bring up anger, and is real good at knowing which records to play when. So very good at his job. So DJ Judge, and I call him Judge because that voice, when it's in its dysfunctional, unhealthy state, and we're all, connected to that big collective voice that is coming in to all of our awareness, it is judgmental, it is critical, it is harsh, it is comparing, it is always has a judgment, always has an opinion, always has a perspective on things. So when you can step into your observation room, then you start to listen. Well, what on earth, what record is playing? What is this? So you start to notice after you do this practice for a little while that it's usually the same old songs. It's usually a pattern, or you've got so I was telling Valerie, you've got your top greatest hits. And you can name those. It usually sounds like some name of some really super bad country song. It's usually something about you being a victim of something, or, it's really, really unsupportive to joy. So you'll start to learn to identify what those top hits are. So all of this is creating a lot of awareness of what is going on in your mental space. So there you are in the observation room. Okay? And in this observation room, I've put a switch on the wall. There's a wall there, and there's a switch on it, and when you hit that switch, air from the outside, which is full of unconditional love and acceptance of self and others, starts to flood into whatever room that you're involved in. So I'm giving you some tools inside the observation room that you can use when you're feeling upset. I also call this upset shaky floor. So it's just kind of a visual that you can have when you're emotionally upset to say, I am in an unstable emotional state. This is unstable here. This is not where I want to be. How do I get out? I asked Valerie during the taping, what do you do? Like if you find yourself in emotional upset or you've got shaky floor, she said, yeah, it's kind of like when you have an earthquake. I said, exactly. And what do you do if you're in the house when you have an earthquake? She's like, well, you run to the door and you get in the door jamb. And I said, or you can do that, or the best thing to do is what? And she's like, oh, go outside. And I'm like, yes, because outside is way more safe and stable for you. It's the exact same thing when you're using this analogy of the tidy mind. You find yourself in emotional upset and you find yourself in that place of not knowing what to do. You need to get out of that space. But what happens in the beginning of this practice, and that is exactly where most everyone is right now. I don't expect anybody to be strong enough to run outside and stay outside yet. So you're going to have shaky floor moments. And you know what? That's okay. We all do. We all have shaky floor moments. But as we learn and as we get stronger, we'll learn how to run to those door jambs and get outside and be able to separate ourselves from the source of the pain. But right now, we don't really, it's strong. That DJ Judge is a strong force to be reckoned with and can hold you prisoner inside that house for a very, very long time, talking to you about how this person should have done this or they should have done that, and I can't believe they said this, and what are they thinking of me, and am I going to be good enough for this, and am I going to be good enough for that? And DJ Judge is also extremely good at creating pressure. Your mental house is so, like that house can be so pressure creating and inducing. That's what we call stress. So all that pressure, and I know Valerie was experiencing this also, just so much weight on her shoulders, just the weight of the world, like literally, because of all the voices that you hear. When you're in celebrity status, you don't only have your DJ Judge talking to you. I'm sorry, I can't really say that really well. I may have to change the term. You not only have that voice talking to you, but you've got millions of DJ Judges that love to come into your mental house and create pressure and criticize and judge and have a perspective about this and that, and just imagine that. Imagine a life like that where you're under that tremendous amount of pressure constantly that all of those DJ Judges can create. So for her, it's, or her or any celebrity, they have that extra thing. Now, if our mental spaces, if the world's mental space was in a healthier state, being a celebrity could be amazing. And I'm not saying that it's not an amazing thing or there's not amazing points about it, because there are people in a more healthy, loving mind space that give love and support and shower that on them, which even that can become an addiction. Like being able to get that. Now I need to get that from everybody. I need to be able to do whatever it takes to make sure I keep getting that. And then they become dependent on getting that unconditional love and support from around them, from everybody else, instead of knowing, oh, wait a minute, I don't need it from inside this mental house. It's actually unstable, because the world can love you one minute and just decide it's done with you the next, because it's very conditional. In this mental house is a world of conditions. If you meet this condition, you get this. If you meet that condition, you get that. If you don't, then you don't. So everything in your mental house is so conditional. Most of us live there. We live in the conditioned fake kind of love, fake kind of acceptance. If you do this for me, or if you do that, or if you can prove you're this, then I'll give you the love. Now, as soon as you're not what my mind and my rule book says you should be, then sorry, you can't have it. I had that experience. I was with one of the drivers, and he was just not, I don't know if that was his normal temperament, but his mind was probably very abusive to him, and I could tell, like he, there wasn't I'm from the South, okay? Like friendliness in our rule book is a big thing, like friendliness and hospitality and speak to each other and be kind, like all that, we like that kind of thing around here. But anyway, he wasn't in that space, okay? And so I sat there thinking, and I could hear my DJ judge. I could hear it judging him. And I had some type of thought about not liking him, or, I don't want to be around somebody like that, or it was some thought like that. And then I thought, wait a minute, that's conditional. I'm basing whether I give this individual who's probably in a lot of emotional pain from his DJ judge and everything he thinks about the world and the reality that's around him, he's probably in a lot of emotional suffering, but because my judge said he's not a nice person, therefore don't be nice to him, or don't like him, or don't whatever. And I thought, that's what's wrong with us. Like, no, like, he needs that unconditional love and that unconditional acceptance even more than someone who is, being kind or friendly. If you're being kind and friendly, you're probably not in a lot of pain and suffering inside, or you're just really good at faking it. You don't really feel like being kind and good, but you do it because that's what being, holding on to that identity of being a good person might look like. So anyway, it's all conditional inside that mental space. What we want to get to is the outside. Now let me talk about the outside. Outside, or inside here in the mental house, is DJ Judge. It's all condition based. It's all unstable. It's just in your mind is not a good place to live. You can't be present. You can't actually be with the people who are in front of you. You're constantly judging them or saying they should be different in some way, or your mind is. Outside, so that's inside. Outside your mental space is another voice. Now, it's not DJ Judge. Outside your mental space is the voice of the heart. That's where it is. You're not going to find it in here with the loudspeaker of DJ Judge. You can't even hear it. Like, no way. The heart, what the heart sounds like is more like inspiration, ideas. You just kind of feel like, I should do this or I should do that. It's not forceful. There's no pressure behind it. It's not saying, oh my God, you better do this, or no one's going to like you, or you're not going to get the money you need, or the motive is totally different when it's the voice of the heart. And the voice of the heart is more of a feeling, like a leading, a guiding, than it is a voice in your head saying, do this and do that, or don't do this or don't do that. So outside of this mental house, in your yard, outside in the fresh air, the air is full of the unconditional. Where inside, the air is full of conditioned love and acceptance. Outside is full of unconditional love and acceptance. And the voice of the heart says things, if it were talking in the language like DJ Judge does, it would say things to you like, I'm okay. Everything's okay. I'm not broken. Nothing needs fixed. I'm just me. This is what is. And I'm just going to be here with what's happening. And I'm also going to give unconditional love and unconditional acceptance to everything that's happening around me. And I'm just going to be with what comes into my awareness. I'm going to let it be. I'm going to welcome it as a guest and say, I'm going to just look at it and just be with it without judging it, without having an opinion about it, without trying to change it, without being upset with it, or without resisting it. I'm just going to observe it. I'm just going to watch it. I'm just going to look at it. I'm just going to be in awe of it. I'm just going to be here with it. And it's the same way it looks at you. I'm just in awe of it. Everything is fine. There are no problems. There are no problems. There's no pain. There's no emotional suffering. Inside, where you have shaky floor, and your emotional body is constantly being poked and dug at and shook up and upset and just constant turmoil that DJ Judge wants to create. Outside, it is so calm and still, like the lake of waters, just completely still. Nothing is poking at it, saying, well, there's a problem here that you should be upset about, or here's a worry here that you should be upset about, or this shouldn't have happened, so be upset about it, or the thousands and millions of reasons that the mind tells you that you should be upset. None of that is happening in the voice of the heart. The voice of the heart's not trying to get a response out of you. It's not trying to control your behaviors. It's just there. Your emotional body is just there. And it's still. And it's content. And I like to look at the joy that, this is why we're all here together right now, is we're returning to joy in 2020. And I hope some of you get there by the end of this month. Wait a minute, this month's almost over. Maybe end of February. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. There is no pressure out here where we're going. There's no time pressure. There's no any kind of pressure. When you get there is when you get there. And when you get there is when you build that strength. And that's what we're going to be doing with this daily practice. We're going to build and build strength to be able to keep that awareness of when we're in our mental house. You know when you're there, and you know when you're not. You're going to know when you're feeling that shaky floor. You're going to know when the mind is playing a record for you. And you're going to be able to flood into your mental space unconditional love and acceptance, just like you would have if you lived on the outside. On the outside of this prison, which is where we're all going. We're all going to get outside a little bit more. Sometimes it may just be a quick visit at first when you're outside. But you're all going to go there. You're all going to get to touch it. And you may be touching it even right now and feeling just a little bit of relief right now as I'm talking to you from outside, shouting inside, hello, come on out. Like you're going to start to feel a little bit of relief. And that's, Valerie also felt that as the more that we talked, she's like, wait. You know, it's like she could feel, she didn't say it in these words, but she could feel that what was coming through to her was not coming from the mental house, was not coming from my DJ Judge. I wasn't speaking to her with that voice, hopefully. Now, it might have snuck in there at some point, I hope not, but hopefully I hope to always speak and let the heart voice speak through me, because when it can, it has the power to pull you out with it, and you get a taste of it. And every time you're pulled out, even just briefly, even just for a few seconds, you get to feel the relief that exists outside the mental house. Now, this mental house is not supposed to be dysfunctional, but unfortunately it is, and it's creating emotional pain and suffering. What it's supposed to be is functional and part of our creative efforts, and I'm going to get to that. There's one good room that I included in this mental house, actually two, but there's a super good room here that I want you to spend most of your time, because it is going to lead you outside more and more. But anyway, so let me get back to the PDF here. Let me get back to what we're talking about. Okay, so we've talked about the observation room. In the observation room, there's a junk drawer, and there is the switch on the wall that lets in the fresh air of unconditional love and acceptance and the voice of the heart. Okay? Which is consciousness. If you really want to get into spiritual language, that is what everybody's talking about with awakening and consciousness and stuff like that. That's it. That's all that it is. It's not this big, complicated thing. That's all that it is. Okay, observation room. There's a junk drawer inside. So you have awareness, because you're starting to practice now, and you're understanding this. You have awareness. You have Shakey Floor. Yep. I hear DJ Judge. I'm hearing what he's playing. Yep. And then you have this junk drawer. So now what I want you to do when you're in the observation room and you've noticed all this is happening, you're going to do what I call a mind dump. So you're going to take, y'all know what a junk drawer is, right? Like, I'm not the only one in the world who has a, like, all my life, every house I've lived in, it started in my parents' house growing up. Like, there was a junk drawer. It's just like you open this drawer and it's just full of mess. Like, you don't even know. Like, there's always a roll of tape in there and batteries and scissors and papers and bobby pins and rubber bands, toothpaste. Like, you just never know. You never know what's in your junk drawer. I'd love for everybody who has a junk drawer, take a picture of it and put it somewhere, like in, if you're a part of the Facebook group called MOGA, or if you're on Angie Johnsey Coaching or Instagram or whatever. I'd love a picture of your junk drawer to see what you got going on. But anyway, everybody's got one. You dump it out, and that's the same thing that's happening in your mind. You just got all these, you don't even, it's just a mess. You don't even know why you feel what you feel or what you're thinking or what's going on, so we need to get some awareness. You're going to take a journal and you're going to write down every single thought, all of them. Write them all down. Do not filter it. And the mind will say, oh, don't write that because you're not supposed to think that way or feel that way or hate this person or hate that. No. No judgment. None. There is no good, bad, right, or wrong in this world of the heart. And I want to know, or you're not showing this to me. Of course, this is yours personally. So I want you to know exactly what your mind's saying without judgment. No filter. Write it down. Just let it out. And if you're not a writer, take a recorder or something, like record yourself saying it. There's, whatever works for you. I like to write it down because I like to see it outside of myself so I can really get a good look at it. So write it down. Here we go. And what will happen is you're going to start to repeat yourself. And if you want to stop the recording here, go for it. Go do that and write this all down so that you can see where it is. What it is, You're going to see some patterns, and your voice is going to start to repeat itself. DJ Judge is, sorry, not very original. Sorry, but, it has several thoughts, and then it exhausts itself, and then it starts to repeat itself. And that's when you know, okay, you've dumped it out. It's all out there. And you can stop. If you start to notice the same reoccurring thought over and over and over, you're like, okay, I don't think there's anything else in there. I'm starting to hear repeating thoughts, so it's probably good. So you can stop once that happens. And then I want you to go up through those, and I want you to give them a title, like Why I'll Never Be a Success. Maybe that's one record that your mind plays. Why I Will Never Change My Body. Why I Will Never Lose Weight. Why I Will Never Keep the Weight Off. Why I Will Never Be Loved. Like, whatever. Like, you can get creative and give it a movie title. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. Label your top hits. Usually it's like 5 or 6 or 7 sentences that our mind likes to repeat to us. So just find them. Let's just find out what's going on in there. And this is the first part of this tidy mind experiment. So that's what I want you to do. Once you gain that awareness, once you see the shaky floor, I want you to dump it all out. And then we're going to hit the switch. First, I want us to we're going to hit the switch on the wall in the observation room to let some air in from the outside, which is full of that unconditional love and unconditional acceptance, so that we can heal that. We can heal that record so it won't play. But I want you to do that first. Now I'm going to do a second recording because this one's almost at 30 minutes. So I want you to take this in small bites. And I want you to be able to do the journal thing first, and then you can listen to part 2, and there might be a part 3 as much as I talk. I don't even know. But start here. Start with number 1. And all we got to was the observation room. But in the second recording that I'm going to make, then I'm going to talk to you about how to organize these thoughts and see where your mind is taking you the most, what it's making you suffer over the most, and then we're going to start to come away from all that. I'm going to explain every room, the trash room, the power God room, the mission room, the people room, the past and the future. I'm going to explain every single bit of that so that you can know what you're doing. This is not hard. And one thing Valerie was saying was like, yeah, but isn't it all about the past or the future? How do I know if I put it, it might be about me, but it's about past or future? Yes, absolutely. There's no, just like there's no right or wrong or judgment out there in the heart. I'm not going to come to your house and grade your papers. I promise you. You can, wherever feels like you should put this, it's fine. It's totally fine. And yes, some things are about you, but it is also about the past or about the future. I'll get into that in part 2, but I just want you to know, go ahead and take the pressure off yourself, okay? That's what the mind would do to you, is put pressure around this process that's supposed to help reduce the pressure. We're not going to stress out about this exercise. That would defeat the purpose. This is easy, okay? We're going to keep this easy. We're going to keep this simple. You cannot do this wrong. You're okay. You're not the one we're trying to fix here. You're not broken. What we are working on and what we're fixing is DJ Judge, okay? And the records that he is playing. It's not you. You're fine. If you weren't attached to DJ Judge, if you didn't hear that voice all the time, you're fine. Like, you would not suffer emotionally. Now, I will talk in later recordings and later coachings about some things like grief. Grief is a whole other topic, and I will talk about that. But, as far as mind-created emotional pain and suffering, it doesn't happen in the heart space, which is outside, which is where we are leading you all. And Valerie, I'm just so grateful for her that she has brought this into the light, and so many people resonated with it, so that we can all start to do this on a bigger scale, because the more of us who do this, we weaken that big collective emotional pain body out there. We weaken that, and we strengthen the voice of the heart, which is what we want to do. Okay, that's part 1. Go do your mind dump. Whatever you're feeling, notice what you're feeling. You don't even have to label what you're feeling. I just want you to let all those thoughts out on paper, and when you come back to part 2, then we're going to start to organize them. So, go do that right now, and then pick up on part 2.